our next guest as we meet the candidates leading up to Election Day. How many days are we away now? Just 20?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting close. Democrat Mike O'Brien calls it a David and Goliath situation, the political machine against the person off the street. He is running against Representative Fred Upton in the November 6th election. He joins us this morning to tell us why. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, you guys, and good morning to all the great WKZO listeners. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, you're a Democrat, and you are running. Is this your first stab at political office?
Yes, it is. First time out, and we're enjoying it tremendously.
Tell us about your background, Mike.
Yeah, so I was served in the Marine Corps. I was in Marine reconnaissance. I was one of those guys who had the good fortune of jumping out of airplanes. I wasn't jumping from the stratosphere at that point, which is good. But served in Marine reconnaissance. I felt I had a debt to repay to this country. I love the country deeply. And like 3 generations in my family before me, I had the opportunity to serve. I came out and have since been in the business world, helping to grow and build businesses, small and large, here in the district. USF Holland Motor Express, Holland Trucking. I now work at Herman Miller, and in the interim there, my wife and I farmed full time. So we grew a very successful small family farming business, and now running for Congress. And part of the reason for that is, as I mentioned, a deep and abiding love for the country, and some of the things like the teachings of our faith, and as I said, gratitude for the gifts that I've received, but also in great part because of the frustration that I feel like so many folks in what's taking place in Washington these days.
How do you differ from your opponent on key issues?
Well, I think, that's the great question. I think if you take a look at his voting record and take a look at the things that I'm talking about, the things that I hopefully spell out pretty clearly on our website, there's a lot of huge differences. I believe in fiscal responsibility. Having grown businesses and run businesses, I understand what it takes to balance a budget, to make payroll, to stand accountable for the results. And I see things, on the economic side of the house, the fiscal side of the house, where Congressman Upton, was tasked as one of several people on the Special Select Committee to take us away from this fiscal cliff. And in that instance, one brave soul, one man or woman able to buck their party, could have helped solve that problem, and no one did. Congressman Upton couldn't find the ability to buck his party and reach for a consensus on that. And at the same time, in my opinion, one of the problems is, that he signed a pledge to Grover Norquist, a consultant and a single lobbyist, that he would not raise taxes. And I personally think that that's irresponsible. I think that's an abandonment of your fiduciary responsibility. We all know out here that when you lose your job, if you're running a company and you lose an account, of course the first thing you do is you cut back hard. The family doesn't buy the car or the new pair of shoes or go out to the movie. The company takes tough rollback measures. But the very next thing you do is you go out and you raise revenue. You land a new account. You get a part-time job. You get another job. I think that career politicians like Fred Upton have become so attached to party and special interest, where when you sign a pledge to someone like Grover Norquist, you're not signing a pledge to the people. The people understand you have to cut and raise. Having grown businesses, I understand that. I'll bring that kind of discipline. I have no political bosses or special interests. I have the political courage and the leadership skills to do it.
How would you describe where you stand? Left, right, middle?
Yeah, I'm a hard-headed pragmatist. As I said, I'm a businessman and a Marine. You don't get very far in the working world, as you guys know, as your listeners know. You don't get very far in this world out here if you dig your heels in and say it's my way or the highway. Stomping your feet and holding your breath doesn't get it out here. Congress doesn't understand that. This is one of the most do-nothing Congresses of all time, if you will. They took us to the fiscal cliff. They took the earliest recess since 1960. They worked one 5-day week. And in our case, in this district, no farm bill. And I think that's reprehensible. I am a pragmatist. I'm hard-headed. I believe that we need to step away from the hard, rigid Ds and Rs that have us in gridlock. The reason Congress has a 12% approval rating is because these folks can't get past the party affiliation. We need to be proud of our parties, but we need to set it aside when it's time to get work done, and that's my fundamental belief. When I raised my right hand as a Marine, I swore to defend the Constitution and all of the people. There was no labeling with Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, and that's exactly how I will serve in Congress if I have the honor of serving the 6th District.
Mike O'Brien is a Democrat. He's running against Fred Upton on November 6th. Do you have a website, Mike, where people can read up more on you?
Sure do. It's www, of course. It's MikeO'BrienForCongress.com. That's all spelled out in letters, MikeO'BrienForCongress.com.
We thank you so much for joining us this morning. 7:53.